call this meeting to order at 7:32. We'll start with sleep.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Ms. Forward? Here. Mr. Acknowledge?
Here.
Mr. Hallowell?
Here.
Mr. Anderson? Here. Mrs. Janice Clemens? Here. Mr. Fumo?
Here.
Mr. Klein?
Here.
Ms. Carey? Here. Mr. Missantry?
Yes, ma'am.
Mr. West?
Here.
We'll start with recognition and comments from the audience. Mr. Linden?
Robert Linden, Pennridge. This is a public meeting, so could you speak louder tonight so everyone can hear? Thank you.
Sure. All right. Well, we did have an executive session prior to this meeting. I apologize for how late we are starting. It was to discuss negotiations and personnel matters. Number 5, administrative reports.
So we have student of the month.
Megan Jackson. I have to go over here so that Mr. Buxer Black can take
Student
your
of the month
picture.
will be Megan Jackson. Speak a little bit louder.
Okay,
There we go.
I didn't start yet.
Okay.
So, obviously, a very exciting night. We have a lot of kids to be recognized tonight, but I'm starting with the student of the month, who is Megan Jackson. She is from Quakertown Community High School, but she went to Salem Christian School up until 8th grade and made the transition to Quakertown just because she wanted to come to UBCTS. So that's pretty exciting. And since I'm on that topic, her teacher is actually here tonight. This is a first from us from Salem Christian School, and it's Mrs. Stevens. And what grade did you teach?
I taught all the grades in some capacity.
So you had her for a long time.
I had her for
So she deserves to be up here.
Yes.
That's good. She went into baking because she didn't enjoy baking at home and wanted to learn more about the art of baking. So she came to the class, and it was a really good choice. Chef Penn, can't say enough good about her. She's a true leader in the classroom. She's someone she can depend on. She's someone that other students can depend on, and she's always willing to help out. In addition to that, she is an NTHS member. She's had first honors every year that she's been here. She is an NHS member at Quakertown Community High School, and she is the president of our Skills USA organization. And there was one more thing I wanted on here. President, did I miss anything? Oh, and she competed in districts last year as a cake decorator. What did you have, 1 week or 2 weeks of training?
About 3 or 4 weeks, but there was mostly nothing. There was a lot of it that I didn't know how to do.
And
so.
she did pretty darn good if you saw the cake that
Yes,
she created.
I saw her do it.
Yep,
And
she did a
was
really-
trying to avoid looking at me.
She did do a good job of that, for sure. So because she was there last year, she has given up the chance to go again because she feels it's important that other kids have an opportunity to compete, which is just true to who she is. In Megan's spare time, she is on the indoor drum line for Quakertown. She was in the marching band. She plays 11 instruments for the auxiliary
13.
percussion. Oh, there might be more. She couldn't remember how many when I talked to her. And in addition to that, she is also a group leader for the International Exchange Student Organization. And so not much free time on her hands. And when she graduates, she is not going to pursue baking. She's doing that for her. She's here for her own satisfaction. She is going to school to get her degree in English and literature. And she doesn't know where she's going yet because she's gotten accepted to so many colleges. Albright, Lebanon Valley, Lycoming, and Arcadia have already given her the A-OK that she's accepted. She's waiting for a few others to come in, but Albright is her first choice. And that's what she's hoping to do when she, well, I guess you're going to decide once you get that financial scholarship, if you get that financial scholarship.
Yeah.
She's up for a full scholarship for Albright, and that's what she's waiting to hear, so it's pretty awesome. So her parents are here, her grandmom's here, her sister's here, We appreciate you sharing her with us. She is a wonderful person, and we still have 4 or 5 months left with her, so we're excited about that. But thank you and congratulations.
On behalf of the Upper Bucks County School Joint Operating Committee, faculty, staff, administration, we want to present you with the Student of the Month plaque. Congratulations. Good luck.
I have them all hanging up. I wouldn't hang up crazy. I told her I'll get her one.
That's a steel one.
Yes, she could. She could rip it off the wall.
Congratulations.
Did you say full ride scholarship to Auburn?
Possibly, yeah.
Possibly, yeah.
Possible.
Impressive.
Just looked up the tuition out of it. Yeah. I thought it was 4 years, but I think it's 1 year. So, congratulations. Good luck.
Okay, next up we have Facilities Committee.
Um,
Oh, Board Directors report.
Aren't you ready?
Okay, so our next group of students are from the farm show. I just want to mention that we were very successful this year. Our instructor was afraid that, believe it or not, our pig wasn't going to make weight. Well, he or she made weight and was a grand champion.
Thank you, Mr. Sweden. Mrs. Danka, if you could come up. On Friday, January 4th, Mrs. Danka and her extremely talented and dedicated students left for the farm show in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania for 5 days and 4 nights. This was the 40th year Upper Bucks County Technical School participated in the farm show. There's a lot of rich history and tradition. I remember the day very well. It wasn't too long ago, but there was a lot of excitement in the air with the students, teacher, and yes, even the animals were excited to go as last-minute preparations were being completed. I took a look at one of the documents that Mrs. Danka had, and there was a listing. You had to check 3 different times to make sure that we were prepared to go. And this didn't just start in January, they've been doing it for months, probably since July of the previous year, purchasing the right animals and being very specific. So the students had a list of jobs to do. Some examples was to make sure you had the right pitchforks, towels, shearing stands, sheep goat socks, pig boards, feed and water buckets. Mr. Danka was even on board helping with the transport. So it was a family affair. Little did the students know that this would be one of the best showings that we've had in years. Mrs. Danka, on behalf of the Upper Bucks County community, I'd like to thank you for your colossal efforts in maintaining our rich history at the farm show. And we'd like to give you these roses as a sign of our appreciation.
Oh, yeah. So we had 7 kids that either placed really well or got their FFA jackets. One of them could not make it tonight, so I have 6 of those 7. And if I get teary-eyed, it's because I have more pride than you'll ever know.
Well, let me just interrupt you. Let me just say this, that you set the bar high because now I expect the grand champion every year.
I already told Thank you. So, as Mr. Sweet has said, we struggled this year. It was not easy getting out there. Our 4 pigs, we didn't make weight on 3 of them, so only 1 made weight, and by the seat of his pants.
So to speak.
Yeah, like literally, yeah. So we, with all the challenges, this was a really rewarding year for everything that we put in. So the kids that are here are Joyce Dowd, right here. She got 6th place with her goat. She's from Palisades.
Sixth place doesn't sound exciting to some people, but this is 12 to 13 goats per class. 7 and above went into auction, which meant that they got to get more money compared to market value for their animal, which is a big deal. Historically, goats are not our thing. We never really did well with goats, so to get 3 goats into auction was big. Along with Joyce was Nina Slifer. She also got 6th place. She's from Quakertown, again with a goat that made it into auction. Justin Rosenberger in the back, 7th place, made it into auction with his goat as well. And then Casey Keeler, right here, she got 1st place, grand champion, with her other purebred. A Poland China pig. We put a lot of work on this pig. A grand champion is huge. We've never had a grand champion in 40 years. So this is a big deal. And we're really proud of her. She also made auction. Hatfield Meats bought her pig, which was pretty cool. And in addition to that, Karen Long and Caleb Roth were 3 of the sophomores that we took. We don't take sophomores typically. This year they applied for a jacket scholarship through the FFA. The Bucks County Farm Bureau put money into that scholarship specifically for us so that we could get jackets and get our FFA back on track and really increase our efforts. So these 3 guys got to go out, they went to the convention, and as I think there was over 100 students that got jackets, they all lined up in a big circle and all put them on together. It was a really big deal. It was really neat to see. So they're the beginning of our chapter in bringing it back to what it was before. So those are our 6 kids that are here.
Gary to get those pictures.
Great job.
He's trying to get you out.
He's got experience.
So we'll probably.
And myself and the program in the FFA, we appreciate your support in all of this and continue to support us to go out to Farm Show and making this happen for us. So thank you for everything. Questions? So 240 to 290 is our weight range on pigs.
Great, I make weight.
And he scooted in just under 240, and they have a rule that if they're 5 below or 5 above, they will push them up to the right number so they fit into that range. So he just barely scooted in just under 240 and got us into the class. So we were crossing our fingers the whole way there. Fingers, toes, all of it.
What goes into a grand champion pig? I mean, what are they looking for?
They're looking for the muscle mass, the fat cover of them. Most of it is the muscle, the way they move. And they're also looking a little bit at the kids. So they have to be able to get that pig out in front of a judge and keep it in front of the judge so that they see your pig more than the other pig that's out in the ring with them. I will say in her class, the other pig that went up against her was a 275-pound Hereford, which is not common. We don't see them often. So we thought for sure we were not beating this pig because it was like unique. But for whatever reason, we were better than him, even though we were much smaller than he was.
It was great training.
Yeah. Oh yeah. He had this pig sitting. He'd roll over for belly rubs. You name it. It was like a pet pig.
Wow.
They didn't do that at show.
No, not in the showroom. But I told her she should have done it up at the auction. Maybe they'd give us a little more money for a trick pig.
He was very spoiled.
He was spoiled.
But I think she,
to give them up now. I know.
yeah.
He got a milkshake every day. He had chicken nuggets from Burger King. He had fries. He had that one cake that one of you guys got or something like that. He was spoiled.
He was.
Now, how high does the pig stand?
It's like here-ish.
Yeah. So Poland Chinas aren't real tall pigs. They're a little bit shorter and a little stockier and wider.
It was short legs, so that's 240 pounds.
It's this way. Yep. Wide.
It was a year?
He's under a year. So all of our animals that go are right around the 9-month mark. The pigs are usually more around 6 or 7.
And what weight we brought them in at?
We brought them in, I think, at 45 or 50 pounds. So we put on 200 pounds in the time that we got them at the beginning of September until we got them out there.
And I have to, I have to give, Dr. Plesnarski a little cheer because she would take me up there and we'd feed them carrots. I think that's why.
If I would have done milkshakes, I would have been.
Yeah.
He had his own personal slop every day. It was like carbs and sugar.
We struggled so hard that I went to the cafeteria, to baking, to culinary, all of their shops, and to them, and said, we could use anything. Like, give me your scraps, whatever you've got. Like, they were eating cupcakes from baking. They had pizza. They had scones. They had lettuce. They had apples. You name it, whatever they couldn't use, the pigs were eating.
He didn't like
just
carrots or
trying to get us
spinach
there.
though. For some reason, he didn't like carrots or spinach.
No, he didn't.
So it wasn't your carrots.
The goats did like the carrots. You're right.
Mrs. Danka, it is,
Are you guys getting another one? Like, what's the next step then?
So then, in the summer, we will go again to purchase more animals and have probably the same kids and some new kids go next year with the same direction.
Mrs. Danka, in addition, even housing them. So we had to do a lot of work with Mr. Sweda, Mrs. Danka, and our carpentry program to make sure that the barn was secure and that it was warm enough for them too. So there was a lot that went behind the scenes, and a lot of our other programs assisted with them.
It was a challenging year, but it paid off.
Did you guys have fun out there? I mean,
Did you guys see the, did you see the butter that they sculptured they were talking about? She was there, okay.
How much did Hatfield buy your pig for?
I think it was 2 1/4.
2 1/4.
2 1/4.
Please don't say that to her. She'll get mad. So, our transport this year, we used to use a local hauler. This year we went with an OAC member and an alumni of the the horticulture program. I went to school with him back when we were here as students, and he runs a farm in Harleysville, so he offered to run them up there for us for a better price and did all of it, and he stayed all day, because our goats and our sheep weighed in at 12 o'clock, and then our pigs didn't go on until probably 10:30 or 11 that night, and we stayed up all night for the pig weighing because we worked it, because I'm on the swine committee. So they were there all day, so our hauler sat there all day and helped us do stuff and was jumping in with us, and the kids were out on the trailer loading them with feed and water and whatever we could to just squeeze them over that scale and make it happen. So it was fun. It was a good time. And it was nice having alumni involved and getting them back in here and doing stuff with us.
Check the pig for cholesterol?
Well, I will say we got a lot of great comments from people about how nice he looked and how well we took care of him. So that was pretty big.
He was always naturally clean though. Like, he never got that dirty.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
You guys are actually dismissed. So tomorrow we'll show you the two so we know which one to go. Or you can have both. Okay. Thank you. Thanks for coming. Very nice to meet you.
Congratulations, everybody.
thank you all so much for acknowledging the students. It was wonderful.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah, as long as we're not turning the lights out.
Yeah, hitting a light. Oops. I wanted it to be an intimate setting.
Okay, so
I thought you were trying to get the background lighting.
to move it along, just a couple more announcements. Today we had some nursery school students and their parents walking through law enforcement, dental and culinary. I did go down into law enforcement. He had a little obstacle course for these little types to go through. It was unbelievable. It's so cute. You see these little kids climbing under chairs. He has a little tire that they are rolling a tire like you'd see in these big competitions. They had a roll of balls, so it was pretty cool. They had a great time. Our Metalworks program is up and running again, and we started recruiting. We started visiting 8th grade schools, so we're going full steam ahead. And the last thing, of course, is our donations. The Ferguson Supply donated some HVAC equipment, $12,000 worth for HVAC / plumbing program or HVAC program. I looked on it, a lot of it said damaged, but I don't know what that means, but I said we'll take it, and if we can, repurpose it, we will. If not, we'll take care of it. And Coopersburg, Kenworth donated a fuse panel wiring harness for our black diesel truck. We needed this harness to get that truck running. I want that truck to be roadworthy. This is my plan down the road. Of course, I'm hoping to start a CDL program, and that will reduce the cost. We don't have to go out and buy another truck if we get this one running. So they donated that harness, and they're also going to come out and do a presentation on installation. It takes 2 days to install it, and they're going to send out a rep to come out and work with our students to install that harness into that truck. So it's pretty cool. So we have some good things going on here.
What does the harness do, sir? Like, does it hold the back of the truck onto the front side harness, or is it like?
Everything from the battery to the lights, gauges, all wire.
All the wires, big jumbo thing of wires.
Got it.
Looks like an octopus type of deal. Different colors.
The donations for the HVAC program, is it safe to assume that we're gonna be doing an HVAC plumbing program next year at this point? Do we have enough interest?
We have interest. We've been,
We'll get
advertising. So, well, I mean, we have the space. We have an empty program that, we're gonna.
What about the program? Any interest in the program? In the plumbing?
I think it's early.
Still early.
I was in Strayer today, and in Quakertown, I talked to 6th, 8th grade classes next week. I'll talk to all the rest of them there about registration and whatnot. They're just going around in the middle school, 8th grade, and we have 9th graders come here, about 120. About 120 come here, Trace.
For what? I'm sorry.
9th graders. About 9th graders, about 100 some.
From your school?
Yeah.
Yes, I'm sorry. I just realized I'm supposed to be at Pennridge's 8th grade parent night, so I'm a little bit frustrated.
I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get into that.
Where am I?
You're welcome to leave if you must.
I have to.
Well, speaking of which, see, they haven't done their thing yet. Today, the students are just going around getting recommendations.
Thank you.
For enrollment. So that's quick.
And I was out of Strayer last week, presented to the full 8th grade class. So,
And they remember you, Johnson.
yeah.
That's how I reminded them today about it.
I mean, there'll be a lot of interest. I mean, it's fun to talk. It's fun going out and seeing these little guys, and they start playing the music. They start humming the John Cena music, and then they want you to do this kind of stuff. But it's a good thing.
All right, thanks for that.
All right.
Okay, let's move on.
Anything else for administrative reports? Okay, moving on to committee reports. First, we have finance committee reports.
Our auditor was here tonight and reviewed the annual financial statement with the board.
And she's a little modest. We didn't have any material weaknesses or anything in the audit. Very simple.
Program and policy committee did not meet. Next, we have our consent calendar. Well, facilities committee did meet, it wasn't on here. Facilities, do you want to go over what we talked about?
It was before the director's report.
We just had a whole meeting with him, before the meeting. It was a subcommittee meeting.
just stood up and then he sat down. I'm confused. Never mind.
You did do that.
Yeah. At the facilities moment, and then they said, oh, never mind, and then moved to the next thing, so I.
Yeah. You wanna go, Joe?
Whenever, I'm ready when you're ready.
All right, I'm ready.
Okay. Discuss two things. One thing we talked about, the expiration of the current custodial contract. The committee asked that we put together a bid package and put that back out again and see what comes back. And also there was a request to put together a package that also include the maintenance to be determined by the superintendent of record and the executive director with my help. And then the second thing was that we are going to put together for the disposal of the cabinet making equipment, a two-tiered auction. One would be a web-based auction for the what we consider the more valuable equipment, and then an on-site auction to auction off the rest of the stuff such as hand tools and small items. So that's what was discussed.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
All right, now we can jump back down to policy program committee. Right, and that was my fault. So we can move on to number 7, which is our consent calendar. We have meeting minutes for December's reorganization meeting, December regular board meeting minutes, December's financial reports, January bills payable, and personnel recommendations.
Thank you.
And I need a motion for items A through E.
So moved.
All those in favor?
They were supposed to approve these reports.
Opposed? Seeing none. Comments or questions from board members on any of those items? Motion passes 9-0. Next up, we have HOSA State Conference. I have a motion to approve student participation in the HOSA State Conference at the Radisson Hotel and Conference Center, King of Prussia, April 3rd through the 5th, 2019, as follows. Is recommended HOSA Dental Career paid by HOSA Student Activity Account 9 students maximum, lodging and meals $240 a person, $2,160 paid by UBCTS. A little small. 9 max student registration, 9 times 85 a person, $765. Student teacher registration and hotel rooms, 514. 3 substitute days at 110 a day, 330. Nurse registration, 85. Nurse lodging and meals, 429, pardon me. Nurse salary, 1,060. Transportation, school van, fuel cost, 100. Total cost to UBCTS, $3,283 for a maximum cost of $3,283. UBCTS total cost of trip, $5,443. Do I have a motion? Comments or questions from board members?
We're paying for the staying in Prussia?
It's the full experience. HOSA stands for Health Occupation Students of America. And much like we send our Skills USA to the Leadership DC conference in the fall, which didn't necessarily happen this year because of weather, this is not just a competition, it's also a leadership conference. So there's activities morning and then through late evening. And it's not usually disclosed, usually it's a minus term.
But it's a full experience. You kind of have me sold on that, and I understand what you mean by that. Thank you.
Any more comments or questions from board members? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Next up, we have New York's International Beauty Show. I have a motion to approve 45 cosmetology students. 45 cosmetology students, 3 chaperones to attend the New York International Beauty Show at the Jacob Javits Convention Center, New York, on March the 12th, 2019. Transportation is $309. Student registration and postage, $45 at $48 for a total of $2,160. Chaperone registration, no cost. Cost to be paid by student activities account, $2,550. General fund to pay $757.50. The total cost of the trip is going to be $3,907.50. Comments or questions from board members? Seeing none.
Motion to
Yep,
approve.
yep. So I'm looking for a motion for that.
So moved.
Somebody.
And I'll second.
Thank you.
One.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion has carried. And we have another New York City trip for our skills students. Motion to approve 7 CBS students and 1 advisor to attend the Broadway play King Kong in New York City on Saturday, April 27th, 2019. Ticket and transportation to be paid by Skills USA. Cost of $90 a student and advisor. There is no cost for UBCTS.
So moved.
Second.
Comments or questions? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes 9-0. Number 11, we have a agreement with Bucks County Intermediate Unit. I'm looking for a motion to approve the agreement with Bucks County IU, number 22, to assist with the hiring process of the Assistant Director of the Upper Bucks County Technical School, not to exceed $2,000 for advertising and miscellaneous expenses.
Second.
Comments or questions from board members?
No. Mr. Sweden?
Yes.
This is the way you'd like to proceed?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
We just hired our superintendent without the IU, and it was very smooth and very successful.
And they really do well.
They do a great job.
And they don't charge for the service of hiring. It's, they do the advertising for us and we're reimbursing them for the advertising, so they're not charging.
So this is something they need to get done.
Yeah, they do it constantly. It's a little oil machine.
Excellent. Sounds good.
Yes, it is good. It was great when we used them. So, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. And we're also looking for a motion to approve Upper Bucks County Technical School to use the services from Account Temps, a division of Robert Half Company, for temporary staffing needs on an as-needed basis.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All right, comments or questions from board members?
Just to be sure on the record, this is a temporary solution for the time being?
Yes, sir.
Anything else? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries 9-0. And that brings us back to recognition and comments from the audience.
I'll make a comment. I'm really proud of the Upper Bucks Tech School for what they did at the farm show. I thought that was great. My wife watched that continuously and was very happy to see all the kids, not just these kids, but all the kids participating and how wonderful they did. Another thing is that I've had assistance from Upper Bucks Tech School in the modification of my airplane. And I mentioned that to some of the mechanics and such that, in fact, one of the mechanics at Van Sant Airport did attend the certified mechanic class that used to exist at Quakertown. And there was a lot of interest about Upper Bucks Tech School and what the capabilities were. So you should be proud of yourselves. Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Mr.
you.
Stephen. Anything else? Anyone else? Okay. Do we have joint operating committee concerns? Oh. Next regular JOC board meeting is scheduled for February 21st at 7 PM in the JOC boardroom. Any operating committee concerns?
Well, we have some announcements that I'll read them for you. Pre-order for Super Bowl Sunday, you can come in and pre-order. You should have the flyers there. There's also going to be what they call a love menu for Valentine's Day as well. And we're gonna be having breakfast with the Easter Bunny Saturday, April 6th from 9 to 11 a.m.
There you go, buddy, Sarah.
No.
You could be the Easter Bunny.
No, I don't do the Easter Bunny.
I think they're over there if you want to take that information.
I'm usually at a competition by then.
You unplug me here, sir.
Did you hear that one, Mr. Linden?
Culinary is offering pizzas for Super Bowl Sunday at $5 a pop as well.
Wow. That should be on here. And it's their regular pizza, the biggest thing pizza.
Yes.
So that you know.
So it-
It's like car high.
Any more announcements? Okay, seeing no more announcements, now we can move on to joint operating committee concerns.
I have one. So I thought that Mr. Klein brought up a great point at our last meeting. So I started to analyze the rotations to see, how things matched up. And I made some charts for you all so that you can kind of see, so that we can start that conversation. Because I think that's a valid concern, not to have the chair and the superintendent from the same district, and try to see if there's a way to modify that rotation. And if we start that process early, we can get all three boards to approve, some version of it, and, in time for the next reorganization meeting. So it's a couple pages here. I'll start with the first page. I'm just gonna walk you guys through what I did.
What's this?
This is that's the first page. I'm gonna give you a second page. And it is color coded for you. So,
Oh, here.
Better give her something to do, Jeff. Take care of the thing.
no, I got plenty to do, trust me. So the first, everybody has one.
Oh.
Thank you.
So the first chart, if you look at the top, so if it's highlighted in yellow, that means there's a 1-year full overlap where the chair and the superintendent are from the same district. If it is highlighted in green, that means there's a 6-month overlap. So the first chart is what we're currently doing now, okay? So right now, if you look, our superintendent is Quakertown, and then the chair is Pennridge, PE for Pennridge, PA for Palisades. And so based on our current rotation, and this just keeps following through, we have a 6-month overlap where the last 6 months of the Quakertown superintendent, the chair is Quakertown. The first 6 months of the Pennridge superintendent is the Pennridge chair. And the only time we have a full year overlap is with Palisades, because that one ends up being right in the middle. So I gave a couple of different scenarios here to consider. The first one is, and what I tried to do is just make the most, the fewest changes possible to get it to each of these scenarios. So the first one is a 2-year plan with no overlap. So that's essentially what I think you guys were talking about last meeting.
Yes.
And so the way that this would work is lining it up so that that overlap would be between the two opposite school districts, right? So for Pennridge, we would be transitioning from Quakertown to Palisades or vice versa, and so it would go around like that. And so there would be no overlap with this scenario, and essentially what would happen is, we could pretty much move smoothly. I think it doesn't really change much, so we would go Pennridge 2 years, Quakertown 2 years, Palisades 2 years, and it doesn't really, it actually lines up perfectly. So this would be a pretty easy change if that's the direction that you guys wanted to go. The next one, and I'm gonna have to find out if this is legal, so that's why I put if legal, because I know that by law, we have to start at the beginning, we have to start in December. Our reorganization has to be in December for the school board members. But does the superintendent have to switch in the July 1st time frame, or can we change that? I don't know if there being a law that says that the superintendent has to have that kind of a rotation. Couldn't we line up the superintendent at the same time as the board?
It's never been done, I think.
Well, I don't think any of these have ever been done.
The superintendent of record has always been on a fiscal year, a school year. It's just always been that way.
But that's our rule, right? That would be our rule, not state rule.
I don't know of anybody that does anything on any of that.
So, maybe, I mean, we can look into that and obviously discuss if there's interest in that, but I thought I'd put out that scenario, because then, then we can still do a one-year rotation, of the, the school board members, but you wouldn't have to worry about there being a 6-month overlap. So, basically then for Quakertown's 2 years, they'd have 1 year with Pennridge and 1 year with Palisades, and Palisades would have 1 year with Quakertown and 1 year with Pennridge, and that's how that would play out. And then the other 3 scenarios would be for there to be a 6-month overlap, but we would at least not have a 1 year overlap. And then there could be a discussion about which 6 months we care less about it being the same. So in other words, if the July to yeah, if the July to December option would be the 1 6-month time frame. Yeah, because I have it up here. July to November is what I put, because I guess it changes in December, but I didn't want to put December twice. So the first 2 would be if the overlap is July through November, and keeping in mind that how frequently we meet too might weigh into it, and it being over the summer, or whether the December to June overlap would be more favorable. We could obviously discuss the pros and cons of that. I gave 2 different overlaps because there's 2 ways to change it around. I didn't know what the preference would be to make the 6-month overlap from July through November. So there's 2 different, it's the same exact thing, it's just moving things a little bit differently to get there. So basically, Pennridge, for the first scenario, Pennridge would stay on for the chair for 2 years, and then go into Palisades and Quakertown. And then for the second one, it switches around a little bit differently. It would have to go Pennridge, Palisades, Quakertown to be able to get it on the right track, so that the 6-month slot would end in the same area for all 3 districts. Does that make sense?
Everyone would have equal overlap times.
Right, and they would be the same time frame of the year, in case that's it. And then the last one would be the opposite overlap time frame, which would be December to June.
What is the major concern? Forgive me, I missed the December meeting due to my schedule. What was the overwhelming concern about the way that it is now with the overlap? Is there a functional power move that could be made in some capacity? I mean, is there a need to change it, I guess I'm saying? Not that these aren't really wonderful that you took the time to do all this, and I have no problem with this 2-year no overlap scenario for the record, but I'm curious, is there
The genesis was, I felt at the time, the last meeting, that it probably wasn't a good idea to have the superintendent as well as the chair be from the same school district, that's all. I thought it would be better to keep things, going around since there's 3 sending schools. That's really what the genesis of this was, and wow, thank you for.
Well, there seemed to be consensus from the 2 other sending districts. We and, Pennridge, so we just heard about it that day. And, so I thought about it, and what the 2 other districts had suggested made sense. So, that's why I thought I'd come up with some scenarios, because, I guess I would think that if we were making a motion to move in that direction, then probably there was enough support in Quakertown and Palisades that everybody wanted to do that. So that's why I thought, here's different scenarios on how to make that happen. And then we could discuss which ones are better than others. And then, depending on what the focus is, whether it's the 6-month overlap or the 1-year overlap, you know, you have some time to make that decision. But, you know, I just thought this would start the conversation and people can consider which option is most favorable to you. And, you know, if there's a consensus, you know, there seemed to be consensus that night on the first option here. And, you know, so if Quakertown and Palisades want to make that happen, I think that that's very reasonable. So, you know, I would be willing to bring that back to the Pennridge board and see if they're also, you know, in favor of making that kind of a change. And if the majorities of all three boards are willing to make that change, we could move in that direction. Or if any of these other scenarios pique your interest more, we could move in one of those directions, so.
Well done.
Good job. Let's beat this up.
All right, any other JOC concerns, comments? No, seeing none, do I have a motion?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. All those in favor?
Aye.
I know, I wanna get